it! This can't be happening! It can't be! This wasn't supposed to! No! He's gone! What have I done? Somebody help me! Somebody! Please, Mom! Mom, please!
This video is sponsored by Opera GX. I've had a lot of computer issues over the years and certain browsers can be a huge resource hog. Luckily, with Opera GX's GX control, I have a full interface to see how much memory each of my tabs is using, and I can even limit the amount of RAM and CPU usage, meaning my browser will be causing as little impact as possible while I'm doing something like playing games or editing videos. Even online games don't have to be affected because the GX control interface comes with a network limiter as well that can control the amount of bandwidth Opera uses at any given time. Chrome is always blowing up my computer with RAM and network usage, so it was definitely time for a change. If I want to listen to music, I can use the GX player to connect to Spotify and listen through the browser. I can see who needs my attention on Discord, or even get notifications in the browser when one of my friends goes live. Opera GX is also on mobile, GX mobile specifically, and it can be connected to the desktop version. It'd be really based and rad-pilled for you to download Opera GX today, so check out the link below in the description and pinned comment, and let me know how Opera GX is helping you. In all of my years playing Monster Hunter, I don't think I'd ever seen myself playing a weapon other than longsword. However, through streaming incentives, I have been gradually expanding my experience with different weapon types as I play through various games within the series. In World, I was tasked playing and learning the hunting horn. Now in GU, I'm learning sword and shield, and soon in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, I'll be playing another weapon entirely. But even when playing through GU, my weapon wasn't the only thing assigned for me. Rather, both the weapon type and style were incentivized, meaning I could have any combination of weapon and style within the game. This eventually landed me on Sword and Shield mixed with Alchemy style, and I have to say it's better than I ever could have imagined. Perceptually, I don't think Alchemy is generally recognized as an effective style choice in comparison to the other options out there. There's obviously exceptions to the rule. I'm sure certain types of weapons thrive within the meta of Monster Hunter when using this particular style, but the overall perception of Alchemy is probably similar to the perception of Hunting Horn before its revision in Monster Hunter Rise. Effective but overly convoluted at a glance. This definitely stopped me from giving Hunting Horn a chance for a long period of my history with the series, but despite this, I did eventually give Hunting Horn a chance, and I was not only impressed with its versatility, but learned quickly that it wasn't as complicated as it first seemed. The same can be said for Alchemy style, and I can do nothing but praise its inclusion in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate now that I have given it a proper chance and learned its ins and outs. It was honestly so surprising to me because I believe the style is generally considered to thrive solely within a group environment. At its core, Alchemy style is a support style. Similar to Hunting Horn, it houses multiple mechanics and functionality that benefit a party through supportive actions, things like buffs and healing, but like Hunting Horn, Alchemy style is actually so versatile that it can benefit solo play just as much as group play, and I'd like to show you why that is. So today I'd like to not only explain Alchemy style to those of you who haven't ever used it or looked into it, but also praise the various aspects of it and show why it's useful both within a group and within a solo environment. I think most players coming into Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate for the first time most likely wouldn't default to Alchemy style as their first choice, and it's understandable why, but maybe this video can help expand your horizons a little bit and give you reason to give Alchemy a chance. If you enjoyed these videos, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. With that out of the way, I'm super rad, and Alchemy style is way better than you think. So let's first break down the main mechanics of Alchemy style and the included Alchemy barrel in order to better understand how a player or party can benefit from this. Alchemy style is about generating items for the player over time. Each player who runs this style will have a gauge above their player name that consists of 5 slots or charges, each of which can be filled over time until they reach the maximum. There's other ways to fill these gauges. Dealing damage, for example, is one mechanic that makes this a bit easier. And there's other aspects such as SP mode that will go into later that can also provide a bonus to said mechanic. The player starts a hunt with 0 charges, and each charge can be considered its own tier of alchemy items. The alchemy barrel is automatically placed into the player's inventory at the start of a hunt as well. Once the player has at least 1 charge, they can equip the barrel and begin the shaking process within tier 1 that offers the following items. As a blade master specifically, players press the A button to receive an alchemy whetstone. This functions exactly like a normal whetstone, but will also temporarily increase the player's hunter art generation, and you can tell it's doing this by the flashing frames surrounding your 3 hunter arts. This is a good time to point out that the player can equip 3 hunter arts with this style. It's not the only style that allows this, but other than Striker, most styles are limited to 1 to 2 selections. The main disadvantage of using alchemy style then is the limited moveset of the player's selected weapon. People used to World or even prior games in the series may find it oddly limiting at first due to the limited selection of moves or abilities at their weapon's disposal, but it does make up for this within the style-specific functionality of the alchemy barrel and how it allows you to pump your hunter arts for consistent use throughout a hunt. Now, I never particularly used ranged weaponry, but if using a gunner option, the player's alchemy whetstone will be replaced with alchemy shot, which effects vary depending on if you're using heavy or light bowgun. While bows themselves get alchemy coating, they all basically function the same as ammunition that will boost hunter art generation as the shots connect. So it has functionality for every weapon regardless of whether it's a blade master or gunner. Also within tier 1, players can press the X button to create alchemy food, which acts as a quick ration and raises stamina. There's nothing particularly special about it, and I even rarely used it in this playthrough due to the game providing so many bonus items to the player as they start thanks to event DLC, but you can start to see that these items may very well replace the need for you to carry certain things within your inventory, and this is bolstered throughout later tiers of the barrel. Now, as I mentioned, players have 3 options from this point. They can either generate an item with the X and A buttons, thus eating up a charge, or they can press the Y button to shake the barrel and enter the second tier of alchemy. Should the player have these charges and enter the second tier, they would then select an item and eat up 2 charges rather than 1. This is the same for all levels. If you're in tier 1, you'll use 1 charge. If in tier 3, you'll use 3. And to enter those tiers, you must already have those charges accumulated. So what does tier 2 offer us? The first option is a health regeneration item called Alchemy Immunizer. What makes this option particularly useful is that you can pop it with little animation, thus reducing your player downtime and helping prevent a monster from attacking you during the flexing animation. This is balanced out by the fact that the alchemy barrel has to be shaken in order to generate these items, and the higher the tier of items, the longer you're going to be stationary. It's not all bad, however. In between shaking the barrel, players can move slowly around as if they were holding a large item like a wyvern egg as an example, so you're not fully immobile within this mode. Alchemy Immunizer is particularly useful in combination with various other mechanics of the barrel and a special mode specific to GU known as SP mode, which we'll touch on later. The second item within tier 2 is Alchemy Sonic Bomb, which allows the hunter to walk around with the barrel and eventually shoot out a little Kuropeko figure that will produce the same effect as a typical Sonic Bomb. This is potentially one of the less useful items in my opinion. Players are generally better off bringing their own Sonic Bombs, as the build up and lead in to using the Sonic effect might be a bit longer than the opening the monster gives you in order to use it. If you're hunting a Nargacuga and you're waiting for that brief window to knock it down with a Sonic Bomb, the Alchemy variant isn't going to be particularly useful here. Tier 3 on the other hand offers 2 highly useful items within the arsenal of the Alchemy barrel, those being Alchemy Earplugs and Alchemy Booster. Alchemy Earplugs are particularly useful when there's little else you need out of the barrel for a given period of time. They allow the player to be immune to a large roar before breaking. In fact, these items get placed into your inventory and take up a slot, but they are not visible within the usable items on your scroll wheel. Instead, it is simply a passive bonus that will disappear once broken, and you can stack multiples of these if necessary in order to allow for up to 3 potential openings overall before needing to make more. One of the most crucial items in your arsenal, and one I generally start with before generating anything else, is the Alchemy Booster, which acts similar to a potion, but rather than healing you, it boosts certain aspects of your style for around 5 minutes. The first and most obvious change is that the alchemy gauge generation will be boosted, so you will have more opportunities within this time period to generate items, especially if you are playing aggressively against a target monster, as attacks that connect do lead to additional gauge generation. On top of that, when shaking the barrel, the animation is much faster, leading to far less downtime for the hunter when generating items. It's for this reason that it's always beneficial to have the booster activated while out on a hunt, and should be a priority in my opinion. Tier 4 is where a bit of the fun and combination element begins with alchemy style. I want to preface this by saying saying that Monster Hunter is a game of preparation, as we all know, but within that preparation, you are given limited inventory space. One way that Alchemy style can help alleviate said inventory space is by making replacement options for various items. Maybe instead of potions, you create an immunizer, and you'll never need to bring whetstones with you again because you can make them on the fly within the first tier of the barrel. But even though this is beneficial in terms of inventory management, it could be fairly annoying to constantly whip out the barrel, create a whetstone, and then use said whetstone when a giant monster is breathing down your neck. This is where Alchemy Slick Axe comes into play. The Slick Axe is a recurring item within old school Monster Hunter, one people who have solely experienced Generation 5 of the series may not be familiar with. Players that have a Slick Axe can generally take any rarity of ore or insect and multiple other gathering items and essentially duplicate it into one or more extra items. GU specifically has so much free item DLC that you get close to 200 Slick Axes at the very start of the game nowadays, and that means you only ever really need one of any ore, as you can then just duplicate them whenever you need a new piece of equipment. Alchemy Slick Axe is similar within this regard, but for alchemy items specifically. Players can combine the Slick Axe with the alchemy versions of food, whetstones, shots, immunizers, and earplugs, and will create a varying amount within a given threshold. You'll get between 6 and 8 whetstones as an example. You can probably see the power here. Generally, my flow in a hunt consists of creating a booster to generate my gauge faster, then creating a whetstone and Slick Axe. Once complete, I can then combine the Slick Axe with my whetstone, so I never have to worry about running out for the rest of the hunt, and whenever I do sharpen, I get a hunter art bonus. Similarly, if I create an earplug and manage to hold on to it until I can create another whetstone, I could then potentially create a full stack of earplugs in one fell swoop. This means that not only can you generate specific items to alleviate inventory management within a hunt, but you can also duplicate said items into fairly large amounts, meaning you'll never run out if playing optimally. It adds an entire layer of management into a hunt that you normally wouldn't have with any other style. While your weapon ends up feeling more simplistic, you now have much more interaction to think of overall within a hunt, and it's highly rewarding when you create everything you wanted to and see how they complement one another. The one real downside to Slick Axes is that they are a relic of Generation Ultimate's original release on the 3DS. The game expects you to activate these combinations through the touchscreen, and now on the Switch, you have to enter a menu and combine them manually. This isn't the worst. You can go to the combo list menu and order your options by what is currently combinable, making it only a few button presses, but still, actively navigating through menus can be fairly stressful and difficult until you've done it a fair bit of times. Within Tier 4, players can also create alchemy fireballs, which act as a sort of fixed damage cannon where they can shoot out a large explosive fireball in an arcing trajectory. It's 60 fixed damage specifically, and I personally use it to try and break parts that I may bounce off of, for barrel bomb wake ups, or just to try and be stylish. The final tier offers one of my favorite items and one that I don't utilize heavily but is still incredibly useful. Alchemy Cheer is broken. It's just such an insane item that you can make fairly easily. 5 charges might sound like a lot for one item, but if you're playing well, the charges really begin to add up quickly, and Cheer is definitely worth it in my opinion. I feel like everything I've described so far sounds amazing for a solo player, and you may actually be questioning why Alchemy Barrel is perceived as a support or party-driven skill. Cheer is one of the answers to this. The item is a quick toss to the ground similar to a Firecaster and will effectively fill your various arc gauges as well as the gauges of anyone around you. Since it's so easy to fill your alchemy gauge, this means you could be effectively pumping you and your team with the ability to use arts throughout the majority of a fight, leading to a more effective hunt overall. I seriously love this item, especially when combined with alchemy whetstones, because you can effectively be pumping out arts like Chaos Oil on Sword and Shield with little to no downtime. Similarly, Alchemy Remedy is an incredibly useful item as well for both you and your party. The hunter will effectively walk around with their barrel and cure the status ailments of the party surrounding them until ultimately firing off a large healing AoE. While the buildup is less than desirable, the effect is heavily worth it when in a sticky situation. So I think it's safe to say that the various items within the Alchemy Barrel are incredibly effective for various reasons. They cut down on the amount of items you need to bring within a hunt, they're heavily interactive and effective, and they are both powerful within solo and group play, making it one of the best all-rounder support tools the game has ever seen since that of the hunting horn. And that's not even all the style has to offer. On top of all of these items items and effects, GU introduced a new mechanic for all styles that Alchemy makes the most out of, that being SP mode. SP mode is a feature brand new to Generation's G rank expansion, standing for Style Power. Players that wish to make use of SP mode must assign one of their equipped arts as an SP art, which will place a colored outline around the border of their skill on the UI. SP arts charge slower than a typical art, meaning they're better placed on a skill that already charges faster than many of the other options. For example, I have my SP art set to round force specifically since it charges fairly quickly while out on a hunt, and I'll see several chances to use it. Every style can use SP mode, and every style except for Alchemy can only make one skill in SP art. Alchemy is the only style that allows you to make all equipped arts SP if you deem it necessary, although I never do. You'll get the most out of the SP mode with just one art equipped, and this prevents your stronger skills from taking exceptionally longer to charge. Especially for sword and shield, it's much more beneficial to have a skill like Chaos Oil be unobstructed. Now, for the most part, SP mode isn't incredibly special or effective overall. It's a nice bonus depending on which style you're playing. Guild style gets faster item usage during SP mode, meaning consumables and even traps can be placed faster. Meanwhile, Striker gets passive Hunter art charging, and Aerial recovers stamina while in the air. Adept style gets longer windows to perform Adept guards and evades, and Valor gets faster charging on the Valor gauge, which is specific to that style. But where SP mode really shines is in Alchemy specifically. For all the other styles, their skill will have a yellow outline surrounding it to indicate that it is an SP art, but Alchemy can take this further. Rather than having simply one level of SP mode, Alchemy gets 4 total, all of which stack with the previous levels and allow for some pretty bonkers party and even solo benefits. Just like all of the other styles, the first level of SP mode provides Alchemy with a generic boost, for the style specifically, this time being for the Alchemy gauge, which will fill up faster as the player progresses the hunt. But through using the Alchemy barrel and generating items, the player will periodically raise the level of their SP skill until it reaches a maximum of level 4. Each of these levels can change the color of the outline around the SP art. Level 2 gets an orange outline, while level 3 and 4 get red and purple respectively. SP mode level 2 provides a decrease in maximum stamina rate depletion. Your main stamina gauge shrinks over time, and now this effect can be lessened. Nowadays, this is less effective since newer players are going to be given countless powerful items at the start of the game, including Mega Dash juices, which maximize stamina and prevent all forms of depletion for a limited period of time. Level 3, meanwhile, provides a health regeneration effect over time, similar to the Alchemy Immunizer item I mentioned previously. These effects can stack, meaning you can have a high level of health regeneration while out on a hunt. And if you're actively using your SP arts, you'll have this regeneration effect more often than not. I'd say it's not particularly noticeable while in the middle of an intense hunt, but it could save you a few carts here and there. Now, level 4 is possibly my favorite out of all the SP mode levels provided to Alchemy because it provides a bonus to part break or stagger damage. I recently learned that these terms are kind of synonymous. Part breaks occur after a hunter reaches the stagger threshold on a monster a certain amount of times depending on the monster and the part. Stagger damage is the more general term when referring to part break damage specifically, so while people may know the SP mode level 4 for its part break damage bonus, this is technically a stagger bonus that leads to part breaks as they are related. Now, I mentioned this already, but these higher ranks of SP mode provide the bonuses of all the lower ranks, and when activated, SP mode gets applied to all party members close to the hunter who activated it. This means that you and your party can have a stagger bonus, a health regeneration bonus, and a stamina bonus all at the same time, while you also get the benefit of faster Alchemy gauge charging. Like I mentioned previously, you can set all of your arts to SP arts while using the Alchemy style, and Alchemy is one of the styles that can have 3 arts equipped at any given time. But like I mentioned, unless you're using a series of skills that all charge fast, you're probably better off designating your fastest skill as SP and keeping the other skills within their normal state so they charge at a reasonable pace. It's very clear why this style is perceived as a party-based support tool, but as I've pointed out with the arts section, Alchemy style is still incredibly viable within solo play. Take my sword and shield playthrough as an example. When hunting for parts, I often apply Chaos Oil and Destroyer Oil to get a large part break bonus. Then I can apply these effects and boost them further with SP mode. Alchemy has the ability to take your typical hunter and make them almost superhuman through various items and mechanical buffs, and this style is fairly beneficial for classes like sword and shield who often use items even if not considered the meta. I cannot cannot describe how fluid and simplistic and advantageous I found this style. Working my way through key quests has been a breeze. Breaking monster parts has been a breeze. I worry less about health and stamina. I worry less about running out of items. The Alchemy barrel is like a portable version of the camp system within Generation 5, but buffed in other ways that make it truly unique and powerful. I believe this style doesn't get the credit it's due, and again, I think that may be for the same reason that Hunting Horn was often one of the least popular weapons within the series overall. But what looks convoluted at a glance is truly simplistic once you've tried it out in a few hunts, and the benefits to you and your party far outweigh the short learning period you need to put into it. If you play Generations Ultimate or have been considering giving it a shot, there's a lot of options for you to choose from in terms of weapons and playstyle, but I implore you to not simply overlook Alchemy as a convoluted support class. It's so much more than that, and you'll be surprised how liberating it feels to make items on the fly that boost you in ways you never thought possible within this entry because you've never tried it before. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. Every little bit helps. I'm Super Rad, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. This is the Patreon section where I'm going to shout out all of my G rank patrons, and my HR and G rank patrons will also be, right here. They're always right here. Shout out to Josh Kobe, Triton 8, Festive, Snowcart, Prime XD, The Timpai, Ashtray, Disparity, Joyce Sanders, Beyond the Time, Nolan Brookman, Carl the Crab, Moal Kasemi, Captain Zeba, Cyberworm, Kathleen Medjuk, Crunchy Kauru, Jonathan, Strange Lee, Rosaleo, and Mr. Janky. If you want to support the channel in like a more financial sense and be shouted out at the end of the video, you can head over to the Patreon with the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and I will see you in the next video.
上手に焼けました。